All right, welcome back. Today we have a special guest. We have Mark McDonough from the number two YouTube channel in Sacramento. Mark, welcome to the channel. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
Oh man, I'm doing so good. I'm really excited about today's show. And I know we were even discussing kind of before the show things going on in El Dorado Hills. So today, for some people who might be researching the area, looking to move into the area, let's give them a quick breakdown. Now, I know if you guys maybe are watching this video for the first time or never really ran across this, we are two active, I guess, real estate agents in the market around here. So we can give a pretty good idea of what it's like in El Dorado Hills. I know we both had clients in El Dorado Hills. Mark does a lot of transactions in El Dorado Hills as well. So, of course, check out his channel. You can just type in Sacramento real estate, and I'm sure it's going to pop up, right? So, guys, we're just going to talk about El Dorado Hills. As we're getting into it, before we go too far into it, drop a comment down below. If you have a specific question or something, or just want to let us know something, or even just, asking for some advice, drop in the comments down below in the chat that we got going on during this live stream, and we'd be happy to answer that before we kind of finish it off. So let's just start with this. Let's just start with a very open-ended question. What would you say the vibe is like in El Dorado Hills? What's the feel of El Dorado Hills for someone who's never been there?
It's nice. I mean, you got some great sunsets, sunrises, hills. It's beautiful, resorty kind of vibe. That's how I kind of get it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really, really a nice area. I think, there's different communities that are all laid out. Each community has their kind of own hill
Yeah.
kind of area.
Yeah. The hills,
Um,
right?
No, it's nice. It's great. I mean, I think for a lot of people, they're seeing all the new homes being built into Folsom, and they want to go somewhere that kind of is, there's not going to be so much building. And so I think El Dorado Hills is kind of like people are looking towards El Dorado Hills a little bit for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, also if I could be so bold, if you guys like Folsom or El Dorado Hills, which is your preference? I'd love to know that in the comments. It's
Yeah.
something that I've been asking a lot of people too. What is your preference, Folsom or El Dorado? So
Yeah, and that's even typically something that we see. I know that we both have clients reaching out to us through our YouTube channels because we're covering so much content about El Dorado Hills, Folsom, all the other areas throughout Sacramento. And typically that is a big distinguisher for people, when they're moving up this way, kind of going east on Highway 50. Typically it is kind of between Folsom, El Dorado Hills. There might be a few others in there, but those tend to be contenders for some people. And I would agree with you. With El Dorado Hills, again, you're kind of at the beginning of the foothills here. You kind of get that more separated feel versus some parts of Folsom. Folsom can feel, I think, a little bit more tighter suburbs. I mean, you definitely have more activity, and especially with all the new construction coming in lately, it can definitely feel a
yeah.
little bit busy during traffic hour. But El Dorado Hills kind of gives you that separation a little bit off the beaten path, which I like. To me, it seems like a little bit slower pace of life, even though it's still so close to all the amenities and shopping that you could want. Now, with the vibe, it's funny because I had a client, she might be watching this right now, but she told me that El Dorado Hills and like the feel of El Dorado Hills was kind of like a SoCal, parts of SoCal feel to her. And I always laugh because I'm like, yeah, El Dorado Hills is kind of like our Beverly Hills of Sacramento, if you could put it that way. It's probably one of the more premier areas definitely to live in. Is there any specific pockets that stick out to you in El Dorado Hills that you prefer or you see a lot more clients pushing for to want to move into?
Well, I think if you're looking for the SoCal vibe, it kind of feels like Calabasas or something when you're going up to Serrano North, and then you
Mm-hmm.
kind of go down Greenview and you get that kind of valley of all those custom homes. That area is just it's sweet. I don't think I've seen as much of like a shocker area or people jaw dropping so much when they see that area. It's beautiful. And like I said, a lot of people, I challenge you to go to Greenview, go through the gates, just pick a lot, custom, one of the lots for sale and just say you're meeting your realtor there, get in through the guard gates. Don't tell the guards I told you that one. And then just drive through Greenview the whole way and you'll see what I mean. It's really beautiful. I don't know if I've seen anything like that other than in like Toronto North. It's just beautiful, green, and just you feel kind of like on the top of the world.
Yeah.
You got Folsom Lake views. It's nice. I mean, I'd say if you're looking for a little of that SoCal vibe, I'd say that's definitely like the spot. I love it up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, definitely a feeling of privacy in that area as well. And I like the tip that you gave everyone on a live stream to the public of how to get into the community. But it's really a substantially beautiful area. I mean, it's amazing. You got the golf course, some of the homes backing up on the golf course over there
Yeah.
in Serrano North. I mean, it's exquisite. And you drive the roads, you might driving up a hill and kind of roundabouts and stuff like that. It's just really beautiful. Everything is lush, everything is green, super well manicured. Landscaping seems like there's always landscapers outside doing stuff on people's properties. So it's very well taken care of. And again, like, as you mentioned, there's still some beautiful lots up there where you can build custom home with a view, or even get one semi-custom or custom in that area. So I definitely agree. That's probably definitely one of the hot spots is Serrano. Notable name as well. And in fact, we'll even cover not particularly Serrano North, but in Serrano, there's actually a new construction community. So some topics for today, we're going to kind of go into what it's like to live in El Dorado Hills, but we're also going to go into some new construction homes. I know a lot of people watch our channels wanting to get an update on where all the new construction is going on, how the development is of Sacramento. So we'll cover some of those exciting new communities that are just opening up. And then we'll also talk about resale market, some trends in the market, what to look out for living in El Dorado Hills. So we'll kind of go full scope on this video. Now, when we're talking about the vibe in El Dorado Hills, I mean, is there a certain type of people that you see moving into here? Are we talking about younger people, single people, professionals, families, people wanting to grow families? What's kind of the demographic that you tend to see that's living in El Dorado Hills in neighborhoods such as Serrano?
Oof. Okay, Serrano, I'd say a lot of people who kind of like those like finishes on a home, especially in the Serrano area. I mean, like a lot of builders went into Serrano, not only Serrano North, other areas, and you're gonna see houses with a lot more kind of like the open kind of floor plans. Even the ones that are maybe in like 2005, 2006, still have some nice open floor plans.
Yeah.
And you're going to see a lot of like the engineered hardwood. You're going to see a lot of the crown molding, thick crown molding, tight, really, really heavy baseboards, thick doors, high doorways. I mean, some of the finishes that you're not going to see in most other areas
Mm-hmm.
in the early 2000s. So I think Serrano, people like that. You feel that sense of like, okay, they're, even though it might be a little bit, 15 years ago or whatever, you're still feeling like these are like, really nice. I mean, engineered hardwood, that's kind of like top of the
Yeah.
top, it's just, you feel it. And like I tell people this too. I'm like, I love Folsom. I think Folsom's great and everything too, but in Folsom, you're not going to get the finishes. Maybe in Empire, but for the most part, you go to Serrano and you're going to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Really Tuscan, Mediterranean, contemporary, then the
Yeah.
custom home. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're someone who's looking for like those finishes, if you're someone coming from like the Bay Area, let's say you're saying, if I'm moving to Sacramento, I want it awesome house. I mean, you
Yeah.
show them Serrano and no one's really disappointed. Everyone's kind of like, oh,
No.
okay, I like this. This is this
Mm-hmm.
is this is what I signed up for. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So, I mean, with that being said, kind of as far as who is moving into the area, I think, with it really is a big price point thing, because I know that a lot of young people would love to live in Serrano, right? Raise a family, whatever, super safe. You have basically villages there. They call them villages. Essentially, it's like
Yeah.
smaller communities around there as well that are gated with their own private gate, stuff like that. You kind of have the security feel. Everything is really well taken care of. You don't really have to worry about the security issue or privacy or anything like that. With that being said, for a family that's raising kids and whatnot, everyone would love that, but the price point is kind of up there. So I wouldn't, to tell people some there. I mean, I wouldn't say this is definitely not a first home, maybe not even a second home for a lot of people, just because of the pricing of it, right? With pricing here, I mean, I'm sure you can get in a little bit less, but most of your standard homes in Serrano are starting just about $1 million and up. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, okay, here's my thought on this. Like, I think maybe 4 years ago, I think Serrano, I think, even like a Grant Bay, all those areas were somewhat like in Sacramento, if you grew up in Sacramento, you'd get yourself maybe a house somewhere like in Roseville or,
Yeah.
somewhere a smaller house, and you could eventually get yourself like to the Grand Bays or get yourself to the Serranos.
Right.
But I think right now that like, if you're someone starting off who's growing up in Sacramento and you have, like a good job, but it's a little bit out of reach at this point for people
Yeah.
like who grew up here and they're like, yeah, I can't wait. I'm going to go to Los Lagos and buy myself a $2.3 million home. It's a
Mhm.
little bit out of reach right now for a lot of people. So I think what you're seeing now are a lot of people who are moving into this area who work for remotely, or
Yeah.
maybe people who maybe like 5 years ago, said, hey, look, we might be pushing our luck a little bit as far as money goes, but let's move into Serrano. And then all of a sudden they bought a house for maybe 650 and now it's like 850 or 9 and they're already in there. And now they're thinking, all right, well, we made some money. Let's keep going. Let's sell our 900, get
Mhm.
ourselves maybe a 1.5.
Yeah.
We made a lot of money off this and let's just keep in this area. Our kids are in the school, everything's good. So I mean, that's kind of what you're seeing, but you're seeing a lot of Bay Area. We put a lot of people from the Bay Area into Serrano
Oh yeah.
because they can work remotely. They like the
Mhm.
resort style living. Who doesn't like driving a golf cart around a cool community? It's just, it fits, it checks all the boxes. So those are the people. Myself, I was looking at Serrano myself, but like
Mhm.
you and I, it's like Folsom makes more sense to us.
Yeah.
Because of location, right? I mean, it is kind of a bear to get from Serrano to, let's say, downtown Sacramento, or
Oh yeah.
To Serrano to Rockland. I mean, that's like a
It's a trek.
3 hour.
It's a trek.
I mean, that's a long drive. So you
Yeah.
know, I'd say remote workers, people who maybe are looking towards like, hey, look, I don't have to go to the office that many days a week. That's what you're looking at. Or maybe people who work in Folsom, Kaiser, or whatnot, and they want to be a little further away. But
Yeah.
that's kind of what you're looking at. It's a
Yeah.
drive.
I see Arcadi09 commenting EDH all the way. So we got some El Dorado Hills fans up in here. I got Priscilla Johns hopping on and saying Folsom. Okay, we got some Folsom fans. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the chat down below, whether you prefer EDH or Folsom. So drop it down there below. We'd love to kind of get a little poll going right now and see what happens. So that's a good point. The driving distance, especially if you land in an area just like Serrano, it's going to be that driving point. Yes, you have that separation of living, that beautiful separated living. But if you're someone who's still a professional, has to go into the office often, maybe working in downtown, that drive is probably a little bit of a drag, that commute. But if you have a self-driving Tesla nowadays, I mean, is it really that bad? So, right? So I have a few clients that have shamelessly told me that's how they drive to work every day. So it's fine. But that is definitely a good point. Especially when we comparing Folsom to El Dorado Hills. El Dorado Hills definitely a little bit further up Highway 50. You're definitely going to
Yep.
have a little bit more miles to put in. Not as quick access to everything. But again, if you don't care, or if you work from home, or if your commute times or whatever your responsibilities are throughout the week are limited to only a few times, it's probably not that big of a deal,
Yeah. Well, I mean, El Dorado Hills for me is kind of like, have you ever heard of the term glamping?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of like that. You're in the middle of nature. You're like in some of the primo spots, but you
Dude,
still
it's
want your
not
infinity
glamping,
edge
bro.
pool. No, you still want your infinity edge pool. You still want your like nice TV. You still want that kind of like high end lifestyle too. So it's like, because El Dorado Hills. I mean, I don't think I've seen the sunsets, sunrises, sunsets over there are just crazy. I mean, it's just beautiful over there too,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like El Dorado. I think it's nice, but like I said again, there's certain pros and cons. Like
Yeah.
SMUD, PG&E,
Yep.
homeowners insurance in El Dorado Hills,
Oh,
fire
yeah.
insurance. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that people need to be aware of if they're moving
Yeah.
to El Dorado Hills, or building custom. I mean, 3.5 million, that's, just getting in there, so I mean, there's definitely things to consider when
Yeah.
deciding on moving to El
And
Dorado.
and speaking of, I'll also, you mentioned potentially fire insurance and some of that, but with the nature, I see someone dropping a comment. Larry Jones here. Thanks for your comment. Mountain lions in El Dorado Hills. Have you seen any mountain lions in El Dorado Hills at all, Mark? while showing a house?
Here's the thing, I haven't, but like, I mean, honestly speaking, like I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, you know, you understand, like some of us, we look at like, you know, the Costco's, the Bel Airs, and you know, all that stuff in Sacramento, and like the Folsom, El Dorado, like Cameron Park area and everything too, or even the Grant Bay area. But like, you know, before we came around, you know, there's wildlife. We live in some of the most amazing scenery in Northern California, but like, you know, mountain lions, you know, rattlesnakes. I mean, they were all kind of here before we were, and they're not going anywhere anytime soon. I mean, it's part of it's great to have those sunsets, sunrises, but you know, we got the critters as well that come with it. So I wouldn't be surprised. I've never seen one myself, but I would not be surprised at all.
Yeah.
You know, what do you think, Sam?
You know, as a general just statement, I would say no. But is it possible? Absolutely. Especially in some of these areas, like in El Dorado Hills, it gets a little bit more woodsy. A lot of properties back up to nature preserves and stuff. I mean, there could definitely be one. I know that a short while ago, there was a mountain lion randomly sighted in Rockland, which I grew up in Rockland. I would say that's like rare or never even comes to mind for that to happen. Yeah. So I would say, you know, as far as my personal, what I'm hearing from clients that live in El Dorado Hills, people that I know personally that live in El Dorado Hills, never heard of that situation or anything like that. Could it be possible? Sure. Would I really have it as like in my thought process when I'm walking my dog in the neighborhood? Probably not. But something to consider, you know, you're kind of closer to that wildlife. But as far as like, I know a lot of people mention, I've even had clients say, forget Cameron Park, forget El Dorado Hills. I don't want the chances of like a rattlesnake in my backyard. But that's just the reality. If you want to be close to nature living like that, there is that small chance. Do you see it? No, I probably have never even seen a rattlesnake or a snake at a property. In nature, yeah, but that's like along the river or whatnot, whole different scenery. But something to consider as well. I mean, you'll definitely see like turkeys and stuff like that, sure.
Dude, I'm in Gold River, and I have them spray for like snakes all over the house. I mean, in our house, we've got squirrels, we got an owl, we got doves in the morning,
really?
we got hummingbirds. Oh, I mean, literally, it is like Disneyland in our backyard. It's crazy. Like my wife's always like, "Hey, make sure you're picking up a couple of bag of nuts for the squirrels." I'm like, seriously, Costco squirrels? All right, that's fine. But no, we have tons of stuff. You know, we even got Pepe Le Pew that comes in now and again, usually when I'm in the hot tub. So it's not, but it is part of like the thing. You know, we live in this area of Northern California, and if you took out the houses, all the stuff that we've developed here, I mean, this is part of the appeal of moving to this area. It's the fact that it's not, oh, hey, mountain bike trails. It's like, no, they're trails. It's nature. I mean, we've got the American River, we got Sacramento River, we got Lake Nimbus, we got Folsom Lake. I mean,
and that's why I said, would I be worried about it? Probably not. But is it very absolutely? Oh yeah, absolutely very possible, right? Like I mentioned in Rockland, like that was in a neighborhood that's technically the suburbs of Rockland. You know, somehow he got there, you know, got lost or whatever, or was looking for food.
He got lost. He's like, man.
I see Larry commenting here again. YouTube. Larry commenting again. Thanks for sticking with us, Larry. YouTube has a mountain lion video in EDH. Okay, very interesting. So we'll have to Google that after. Again, could be possible sighting. Yeah, for sure. I was not doubting that, but I'm saying as someone who's potentially looking to purchase in El Dorado Hills, would I worry about that? Me personally, no. Again, for some people, like absolutely off limits. But the reality is, you know, Folsom, El Dorado Hills border each other, right? So depending where you buy in Folsom, you could have that same issue. Like zip code, you know, doesn't change much, really, you know. So you kind of pay to play. If you want to be in a beautiful scenic area, it kind of comes with the territory, I would say. Now,
news alert. YouTuber gets dragged off by mountain lion. Last words were, "I didn't think there were mountain lions in El Dorado."
No, I'll even do you one better. A realtor trying to be a YouTuber in El Dorado Hills gets caught by a mountain lion, hits him with a gimbal and a camera,
shouting,
gets away.
"You're not supposed to be here."
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah. The show just went rogue. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. We'd love to hear some of your feedback. If you're liking this, hit the thumbs up. Share this with someone who could find value out of finding mountain lions in El Dorado Hills. So, guys, I want to switch up the pace here really quick. I'm really enjoying this, but I did mention that we're going to talk about some new construction stuff too. And I want to make sure that we get to it because me and Mark, we also do a lot of new construction, help a lot of people move into the area. Now, with that being said, there's a few communities coming out. One is going to be Ridgeview by New Home Company. Now, I know this one has been pretty big and anticipated. I want to just bring it up here really quickly. So this is a brand new community. Again, New Home Company, they did some good stuff up in Folsom. So I figured it was just timely to bring this up as well. So they got a few different floor plans to choose from. These are supposedly having bigger lots as well, and a lot of them are going to have views, is what I've been told. Now, I have yet to visit the community. It's actually supposed to open in about a week, specifically for VIP, and we'll get into that in a little bit, what that actually means. But new community, luxury market, New Home Company. What do you think about this builder? You've seen some of their products before, Mark. What do you think of them as a builder in our area? Do they have a match for El Dorado Hills? And do you think they're going to get a lot of action on these homes?
Well, one is I like their salespeople. I think their salespeople are great. I think their products, what they did in Gold Hills, Silvercrest, Rockland Meadows, I think has been fantastic. I think they really stepped up their game. The thing about New Home is funny is like their marketing efforts are a little lackluster, honestly. Like half the time I can't even find an address on Google. Where is this community? Where is this community? I mean, you don't really know. Like, their marketing doesn't it isn't really for me. I mean, and this is nothing against it. It's just like, you never really know, you don't really know what their offerings are. You don't really know where they're at or what their inventory is looking like. It's just very, I mean, up till like 3 weeks ago, I got a call from one of their sales reps telling me that they still had 2 houses available at Silvercrest. I'm like, oh,
Yep.
I had no clue. I mean, like nothing, like there was nowhere. So, okay, I digress. I like what they're building in Ridgeview. Only thing that I'd be concerned about at this point is fire insurance and home insurance at this point. I know Ridgeview is kind of, depending on when you build there, it can be a little dicey for that. So I'm kind of curious as to exactly what a house of this size, of this expense would cost for homeowners. That's one big question I have. I like their product. I think the stuff that I saw at Rockland Meadows by New Home, I thought it was some of the best floor plans, period. I mean, I thought their floor plan that they had modeled out of Rockland Meadows was probably my favorite floor plan that I had seen, including Toll Brothers stuff. I think, it was really, really nice. The only thing I will say, though, is if you're going to go get a New Home Company home or a Toll Brothers home, Toll Brothers is a lot more recognized than New Home Company. So what does that say? Just as far as like, when you look to resell a house, a lot of people put like Toll Brothers, because, it's like that kind of branding. So that's the only thing I would say. I mean, a lot of people look for your forever home, but considering people normally stay in a house for 7 to 8 years, and it's your investment, you got to also factor in all those little things about the branding and the things that'll help it resale and, make your money. And that's kind of part of it. But I don't know. I mean, what do you think? I mean, as far as the price points go, I mean, they look good. They look competitive to like, Hidden Ridge by Toll Brothers, correct?
Yeah, so this is actually a price sheet that they sent to me, but we're looking at anywhere from in the low millions, really up to that 1.4 on the bigger one. It looks like right there towards the bottom. I think you guys can see it right there. So you can see you're looking about 1.04, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and then up to 1.4 plus million. Of course, with upgrades and all of that, that price can, shoot up more. I think that also this is just the base pricing. So, with upgrades, again, as I mentioned, this could easily increase the price, I would guess anywhere 200, 300, 400,000, depending how far you go, right?
Lot premiums.
Yes.
I can guarantee you that does not include lot premiums.
Yeah. And I'm not sure that these do. So I think especially the ones with more of an established, amazing view, because I know that there will be homes in here that have absolutely gorgeous, amazing views. Had already a client do a drive-by because they're looking to purchase one there. So they did just a quick outer drive-by the community, and they're like, oh, this is a sweet location. So I think that they're going to do well personally. And I think that this price point is, for El Dorado Hills, you're kind of expecting it, right?
I
But
mean, Toll Brothers was given to like what? Toll Brothers was charging something at some point in time like 250 for a lot premium. If
yeah,
New Home Company goes in that direction and their views are even better than like, Hidden Ridge, probably
yeah,
expect something like that. Then what, like
and
30 grand for maybe the solar, then
yeah,
maybe like 250 for the upgrades and backyard landscaping. I mean, we're talking like probably out the door 2 mil for
yeah,
some of these things.
exactly. And that's literally what's happening with Toll Brothers too, right? A lot of people reach out to us. I know I was walking with clients when you were walking with clients there at the model home. So we both know, and we've both had a handful of clients there looking to purchase. And we'll get into Toll Brothers here in a little bit, but really your out the door ends up being like at least 1.6, 1.7 million. That's before landscaping or a
Yeah.
pool or any of that, right? So yeah, definitely pushing that $2 million mark when it's all said and done. But that being said, there's not a ton of new construction options in El Dorado Hills. That's why I wanted to bring it up today, because people that might be looking into the area shopping, a lot of people like to consider new construction first and then maybe consider the resale market, just depending on their situation. So I think this might be a good option for people. Again, they're doing this VIP thing. So I thought that you guys should know they're going to have the models open, but they won't allow you to come or schedule an appointment and see the models until you get pre-approved with their lender, which I was kind of a little bit annoyed over, because even though I like the builder, I think that I get it. It might be the first weekend. There might be getting a flurry of people. It's probably like a way to mitigate, having a line out the door. But at the same time, I don't really think you should have to be pre-approved with their in-house lender to see a model home. Like, I just don't think that's necessary.
I mean, I get it. I mean, people are doing stuff. I think right now, the market with buyer demand and limited inventory, I think people are doing whatever they can to kind of hedge their bets. But at the same time, I'm with you. I think it's ridiculous. I think you
Yeah.
should create buzz. And I think the idea is that if you have a crazy, crazy weekend and there's lots of people there, you're going to sell some homes and it's going to
Yeah.
look good. And if you do the pre-approval thing and everything too, it's going to limit the amount of people that are there. The impression won't be as crazy as it could be, and it's a bad marketing move, you know. So for me, I'm with you 100%. Toll Brothers didn't do it, and it was an open house. I mean, it was packed. I mean, and Toll Brothers, I got nothing but love for Toll Brothers on how they rolled out Hidden Ridge. I mean, they invited all the realtors out there. They laid out a big spread. We went there. They allowed us to videotape the homes. It was awesome. And
Yeah.
then at 6 o'clock at night, they rolled it out for their VIP clients. None of them had to go through the lender. All of them just showed up and they started selling homes. And it was awesome.
Yeah.
And that was our model opening. They
Yeah.
even had, I think it's like 12, 20 homes or something like that had sold before that. So they really drove it in. I mean, considering this is their opening weekend, and it's not even like, this, I think that's a little bit of a, I don't know, bad marketing
Yeah.
move myself,
Yeah.
but
And I was actually there with you at the grand opening for Toll Brothers. I mean, it was
yeah,
great. Like, there was food
yeah.
served, drinks served, it was just open, music playing. It was like very chill, very nice vibe there, just like hanging out at the model homes, checking it out, getting questions answered. And it was a good experience. So I think that plays a huge part. And, we've had both, I know, multiple clients request about this community, and having that direction and association with sales reps definitely helps people get the home that they actually want. And they don't have to feel like they have to jump a bunch of loops to do that. So
Yeah.
again, new home company coming to El Dorado Hills. If you guys would like more info on that one, really quickly, I did want to share this before I forget. Now, there is going to be HOA, and there's going to be definitely some higher taxes, as probably you were guessing. HOA is going to be $51 a month here for all the lots, so it's pretty low, but $126 a month for those on private courts. So I thought that was very interesting. I guess they're going to have some private court lots that may be charging a premium. I haven't gotten the full scoop on that, as if that's going to be gated within the court or whatnot. They haven't released that yet, but as soon as we know, we're also going to be doing videos on these model homes once we get in there. So probably next couple weeks, we'll do an overview on the community, kind of a deep dive. So if you guys are interested in that, either shoot us a text or call so we can send you that link, or subscribe to the channel. Now, and then really quickly before we move on, the Mellorees are going to be, they didn't break it down, but your overall tax rate there is going to be right around 1.69%. So pushing 1.7% on taxes, I would say that's pretty high overall. I mean, pushing 1.7% on that higher price home, you're going to be paying your taxes there. So just keep that in mind. Now, let's jump over What do you think of, I know we kind of mentioned it already, what do you think of Toll Brothers coming in with the bang on this Hidden Ridge community? What's your opinion on it? I know we were both there. What do you think about these homes?
I like the homes. I think they're great. I think that they should have probably built the model homes with views
Sooner.
like they did over at Skyline.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that's one thing that I looked at the model homes, and I get it. They want to, sell the lots and everything too. But I looked at like the Denali, their big floor plan. I was like, man, if they had set this thing up with views of El Dorado, I think they probably would have sold more homes at this point.
Mm.
But I think they're selling homes, and I think I
Yeah.
talked to, what was it, Gabby last weekend. She said
Yep.
she put 3 homes in, and so, I think they're selling homes. I mean, I've got, I think, 3 clients in it at Toll Brothers, and they're all happy about it. I like Toll Brothers. I like the brand. I think it's good. I think the location of it is pretty good as well too. So, I think it's good competitively towards the resale market, what you're getting in Serrano or like Ridgeview or Promontory, or
Mm.
I mean, I think it's good. I like their build, but like I would love to see one of these houses with the view lots. I'm kind of
Yeah.
missing that part of Toll
Yeah.
Brothers over there.
Yeah. I would say I agree with you on that. You kind of want to show your biggest best product, but I
Yeah.
will say even with how well they did the landscaping in the backyard and the pool and all that, made it feel so luxury and like modern in the back, that I actually had good feedback from clients that didn't want to pay the high premium for a lot with a view, especially facing downtown where the sunset would be. So I had some clients that actually are like, we don't really care as much for that. We wouldn't use that as much. So seeing the backyard, how it was landscaped and done, even with an uphill on the back end, they were like, this is awesome. We like this
Yeah.
space. So it was kind of interesting to see that feedback, where typically I'm totally a views guy. I'm like, if you can buy the view, buy it.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth all the money, but that's just for some people, it's just not as important, which is fine. So I thought that was cool. But I do like this community now with pricing. We kind of talked about it, out the door pricing is pretty high. Like right now, base prices, depending on which model you go with, you can be looking at about probably 1.3 million more or less. What are you seeing people upgrade that house with as far as like upgrades go? How much should people expect to really pay out the door realistically on a luxury home like this by Toll Brothers?
1.8, 1.9, I'd say probably somewhere around there, depending on which model you go for. The Denali out the door, like that model is going to sell for over 2 mil.
Mm,
I could see that. I mean, if the one at the Skylines were going over 2 million easy. The model homes, like I think it was the Auburn or the Colfax out there.
yeah.
So I think they're going to be above that. I think, here's the biggest problem with when you're buying something like at like a Ridgeview or the New Home Company one or this one. It's like, it's like putting budget tires on a Ferrari. You know what I mean? You kind of have to play for the house. And it's not just for you, it's for the resale market. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's say in 7 years you go to sell the house, but you didn't really do all the updates, like, to this level of the house, you know, it won't go as you won't be getting top dollar on it. Like, and that's the thing that's a little bit hard about some of these houses. I mean, I have clients who go in there and say, you know what, we're not worried. We don't want to do the quartz countertops. We want to do this stuff. We want to keep it standard. But
Mm,
at the end of the day, you kind of shoot yourself in the foot, because when you sell this home, if you want premium, and you want to make a lot of money, maybe you invested 250 in updates and made it really, really nice. That 250 can turn into a 500,000 on resale if you're smart, or it could be a detriment when you go to sell your house and you're like, yeah,
yeah.
we got the really, really thin LVP planking, and we got like, the
No, you
really
feel
thin
it. You
granite.
definitely
So
feel it. Yeah.
you have to
No.
kind of like, and that's the thing. It's like anything else. Like, I always throw up a Ferrari as a reference. If you buy a Ferrari, understand maintenance on the Ferrari is very expensive. Tires are expensive. Those cute little Ferrari gloves that you buy are expensive. I mean, everything that comes with it. So when you buy something like a Toll Brothers house, Tim Lewis house, or, New Home Company house,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that you're going to fall in line with. Yes, it's your forever home, but at the end of the day, people stay in homes for like 7 years. And when you go to resell, you want to make your money. So if you spend $1, you want to be able to recoup $2. And if you go cheap on some of these houses or go like more standard on some of these houses, it could be more of a detriment.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. So looking at, I would say probably between 1.7 plus million and up for this community. And of course, landscaping, how far you want to go. If you go with the pool route, you know, uh, with the view and everything, you could definitely be pushing a $2 million home here in the community. But
We
I
haven't even
think
talked
that
about
being in,
furniture.
huh?
How
Right.
much furniture do you need to buy to have
Yeah.
an idea?
Restoration hardware. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, exactly. So there's that. But one thing I do like about that area, and I'll just my like last 2 cents before I move on to the next one, is that they also have a newer Safeway Plaza there now. So literally, you're on this hillside community, Toll Brothers, if you can imagine this, and it's almost like levels. I think the first street is called Kings Peak, which I was really digging that name, but and then like Glacier Peak, and then something else. So it's like 3 levels of hills, and all these homes are just overlooking. Even if you don't have the view, like the front of your house is probably going to have some sort of view at the front.
Yeah.
And so it's a sweet location. It does feel a little bit rural because you still have some open properties on the outside of the community, but it's going to be gated. And literally right outside the gate, just like you could probably walk there, is like Safeway Plaza, where you have a bank, now a coffee shop, a few little spots to eat, and just having that big Safeway Plaza there. And with the, I think it has the gas station there as well. I think it's going to be just way more easier for people who live there. I mean, you can literally walk to go get a bottle of wine, some cheese, crackers, whatever you need. And I think that for El Dorado Hills being so separated, sometimes not having those grocery stores or access to little things like even like a bank run, having that there right outside the community is like, I think, awesome. And it's going to help out a lot of people moving into the area in this part of El Dorado Hills.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, like I said, if you work somewhere though further away, it's not going to be
It's
the
definitely
best.
further away. Yeah. Because the
But as far
exit's
as
further
stores,
up.
as far as shopping, as far as
Yeah.
stuff like that, I think you
Yeah.
can definitely find a lot
Mm-hmm.
of stuff to do in El Dorado.
Cool. Well, if you guys have more questions on that one, you can reach out to me and Mark. We're very knowledgeable about the community. Again, we're just doing like an overview here today. There is going to be an HOA there and some Melloroos. I don't have those numbers exactly in front of me, but I believe the HOA is running about 250 and the Melloroos are probably running around under 300 a month. So it's not terrible. Really here is like the pricing and the upgrades and dealing with that too. One thing you should know, and a lot of people, I don't think they maybe get this, but they will require a couple percent for the deposit. So you get in a contract, you have some deposit money going in to get the house. After a few weeks, typically they'll invite you into the design center where you really pick all your upgrades. That's really where you go all out, picking your countertops, your backsplash, your cabinets, everything, all the bells and whistles to the home. And that's really when it racks up. And so they actually ask you to bring an increased deposit for a percentage of all those upgrades you just chose.
Yep.
So if you chose $100,000 of upgrades, you're probably going to have to bring in like 25% about there of that $100,000. So you have a deposit in, you're going to have to bring in more money. So really, I tell people, if you really want a community here, you need to have basically a couple $100,000 in liquid cash because they're going to require those deposits before closing on the house, you know, in the beginning process. So keep that in mind. It's not feasible for everyone because, you know, I have people having like physician loans or want to use advantage of other types of loans in the market where they don't want to be a ton of cash out of pocket, you know, and this situation kind of like squeezes up the cash, whereas the resale market, you don't really have to deal with that as much, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So jump into one last new community. This is going to be Edgelake at Serrano. So this is a new community. We've talked about it before. Tri Pointe Homes. I'm sorry, it's going to cut out there a little bit. Let's see if I can fix it for you guys. Tri Pointe Homes. New community has been around for a while, like I mentioned. It's a small gated community, not far from Toll Brothers, actually, just a little drive. What do you think of this community? Would you recommend this to somebody looking to buy a home in El Dorado Hills, specifically new build?
I think so. I mean, I think the price per square footage is good and everything too. The only thing that I would be hesitant on is if you are someone who's looking to buy a home for an investment property, because as Sam and I mentioned, it's a little bit further away for a lot of the commercial and like, you know, for a lot of the business areas too. It isn't going to be as easy to rent as somewhere in Folsom. Folsom is kind of closer to a lot of stuff. So as far as a primary, I think the price per square footage is nice. I think it's great. The only thing I would worry about is the further out you go, the harder of a rental market you run into.
Yeah.
That's why areas like in like Lincoln, it's a little harder to rent than Roseville, like even Rockland, and then like Roseville near the Galleria. I mean, some of the places we've been putting people into near the Galleria have been just blown up.
Hmm.
because of the rental market there, and you can use them as investment properties. So I would say, like, as far as a primary, if you want to get into the, the schools, El Dorado, Serrano, the whole 9 yards, yeah, I think it's great. Price per square footage is nice. They're building big. As far as an investment property, I don't know how much you'll be able to rent it for, just because you're kind of far away from a lot of the areas that
Yeah.
are, near like businesses. So that's the only thing.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But again, if you're buying a house in El Dorado Hills, probably not going to run it as a rental property. In my opinion, I think the price point is just too high for it to make sense unless you're doing some sort of creative, short-term rental, Airbnb type of situation if you can, or multiple different renters in there, or,
But here's the thing, though, too. I mean, these houses are pretty much even better deals than some of the houses in Folsom. And a
yeah,
lot of people are
yeah.
buying investment
So
properties there. So,
literally, when this community opened, I thought about buying one because, first of all, it's in a gated community. I think there's only
mhm.
like 75 or 90 houses here. And if you guys
Yeah.
want to see these model tours, they're up on our channel. So you can check those out to get the idea of the flow in the inside. I was actually even just there this last weekend showing these homes because the pricing is so attractive. I mean, like, look, you can even see right there, pricing starting from what, 691,000, 686,000. Realistically, with upgrades and everything, you're looking here in the low to mid 700s, maybe a little bit
Yeah.
more depending on the specific lot. There's not many homes left here, based on my assumption, even just speaking with the reps last weekend there. But like, you can get a home in the 700s here in your El Dorado Hills. We're going to talk about the resale market here in a couple minutes, but it's hard to get a home for that price point in El Dorado. Wouldn't you say so?
I mean, for new, who do you have now? I think there's a sprinkle of Lennar maybe left. I'm not even sure. I don't even deal with them too much. You got Elliott, who's got like 3 communities up there. You got Toll Brothers, you got Ridgeview, and then you have Tri Pointe. And that, I think, is all like the semi-custom building. And I mean, Tri Pointe is easily the best bang for your buck up there
Yeah.
too. I think they actually might be building out another phase up there too, or at least that's what I heard.
Yep.
So I think that, like, I mean, I think they're nice homes. I think you're
Yeah.
in Serrano. Price point is competitive with their community in Folsom for the same type of models too, and everything too. So I don't know. I mean, if you love El Dorado and it's your spot, and these homes are
Yeah.
nice.
And I think
You
this one
know,
would be great for like a young couple or a smaller family. I think it's a great option.
I mean, here's the thing though, like even like a larger family. I mean, we're talking plan 1 is over 2,300 square feet. Plan 2 is over 2,500 square feet. Plan 3 is over 2,600 square feet. I mean, that's still a lot of square footage. I think Sam disappeared on me. Oh, come on, Sam. I think his camera overheated. That's my guess. All right. So for me, here's the thing. I like this community. I think it's good. My biggest thing about this is, if you're going for a primary, if you're looking for El Dorado, if you're looking for Serrano, this is a community that definitely makes sense. You're not going to go over $1 million in this community. It's one of the few communities in El Dorado where you're probably going to keep it under $1 million, and you'd be okay. Not to mention, this is one of the only communities, or if the only community, that's actually legitimately in Serrano that's building. And so it's a good bet. The only problem I would ever have with this community, and I've already put a couple of people into this community, is the idea that the rental market for a house like this. Do you buy something in Folsom Ranch? Same around price point, same builder. And I think you'd probably have an easier bet renting in Folsom Ranch as opposed to up here. The drive is just a little bit much for a lot of the people probably looking to work in downtown or even in Folsom. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And sorry about that little interruption. For some reason, camera starts heating up, it's summer activity. So, we're back. So if I shut off again, you guys know that we're good. So I think personally, as far as this community, I think it's great bang for your buck. I even took out some clients out there this last weekend, and I really do like even the design. If you see the model homes here, like the bigger one, I think it's the Plan 3. It's got like blue cabinets, really like nice navy blue cabinets with like white countertops. I mean, it's just, and some, like brushed gold finishes. It's just beautiful. So I really do like this community, and I think if you really want the El Dorado Hills zip code, it's pretty good bang for your buck. And that's not me just trying to sell this community. I do think it's actually good bang for your buck for the price point if you want the zip code. The other thing is that this community, it actually is right across the street from Bass Lake, which is like a small little lake. I wouldn't really say it's swimmable or anything like that, but it's got a trail around it. And I just found out that if you're looking at Bass Lake, on the left side of the lake, the city is supposed to build a huge park right there. So I think once that park is built in and this community is essentially, walking distance or just a short bike ride, it's going to be a huge selling point for some families and bring it, it's really going to lift up the look of the area for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so really quickly before my camera turns off again, and if you guys are enjoying this, smash that like button, and I hope you understand how hard we're working here. It's enough being a realtor in today's market, with all the hairs I'm losing, but at the same time, keeping up with technology, keeping the camera running. For some reason, you spend crazy money on a camera and then it still wants to shut off on you. I don't know what you do. But this is the life we live. We love doing YouTube. We love being for you guys here every Tuesday at 5:30. Mark goes live 2 times a week. We're putting out content and information on the market all the time. And you have to understand too that a lot of clients, I shouldn't say clients, a lot of people watching this from YouTube are getting a ton of beneficial information. They're getting all the resources, and then they might end up using a totally different realtor, like their mother-in-law or cousin who lives in Sacramento, and end up buying a house. But really, they got the information from us, and we get those stories all the time. Hey, thanks, great watching your channel, super informative. I ended up buying a house and so and so.
Oh my God,
Awesome.
so funny. Okay, I'll go with some clients to like the new home developments. I'll be walking around with them. They'll be, "Hey, Mark, how you doing?" I'm like, "Hey,
all the
it's good
time.
to see you guys."
All the
I'm like,
time.
so no call. You couldn't give Unky Mark a call. I could have came with you.
This is my reminder. Give us a call if you need any help with buying or selling real estate. We'd love to be a resource.
It's funny though. I mean, look, guys, like Sam was saying, this is fun. We love this. This is a part of our job that is really cool, connecting with like everyone out there and just talking about our week and seeing what's out there and everything too. I know Sam is super busy. He's always going to the new home communities. He's always doing the stuff. He's dropping content like crazy. Like with Ridgeview, he was on top of it from day one. I mean, if you guys want to do a little Pepsi challenge between Ridgeview and Hidden Ridge, give him a call. Give his team a call. He's a great guy. And he can show you a little bit of both and see which one works for you. Nice spots. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So really quickly before we finish it off, I know we've been going for a little while here, and I hope you guys are really loving this, but some trends in the market. Let's talk really quickly about resale market. So I even pulled up some data just for you guys that are love to get the numbers. Median sold price in El Dorado Hills, $925K as of last month. So that's your median sold price, $925. Average sold price, $1,075,000. Okay. So pushing 1.1 million on average sold price. Based on what you're seeing in the market right now, obviously those are numbers pulled from the actual MLS locally, but when you're shopping with clients, when you're going out, what can you get in the resale market right now? What's really available? What are you seeing that's hot? What's not? And what are some, just to give people some expectations if they were going to go out and look for a new home here in El Dorado Hills?
For new homes, I mean, you kind of nailed them all. I mean, for resale, I'd say like if you're looking at Serrano North, you're probably looking upwards around maybe 1.3-ish, 1.4-ish and up. I mean, I'd say a little bit of the villages, you probably could get in there between like 920 maybe ish and like 1.2.
Yep.
I would say some other communities like lower Ridgeview, like when you're going up the hill, you could probably get an older home, maybe a 3 and 2 for like 675, 750 or something like that. Some of the older communities too that are like kind of closer to Folsom Lake that are out there, probably like 850s, depending on, I mean, there's definitely like the thing, and that's the funniest thing about when you bring in numbers, like the medium home price and everything too. And I do the same thing. It's just like, it's so, El Dorado is different. Like Promontory is a different price point. Like custom homes are different. Like Serrano is different. Ridgeview is different. I mean, can you make like 700 work in El Dorado Hills? Yeah. Could you make it work in Serrano? Probably not. Promontory, probably not. Ridgeview, maybe lower Ridgeview, but there are communities that could work for you. So, I mean, I wouldn't lose so much hope. I think there's pockets that you can buy into. I think for the most part, you just got to watch out for homeowners insurance, home insurance, fire insurance, and, and just how much work you're going to have to do on a house. And another thing too, what's crazy about El Dorado Hills? Some of the craziest, most expensive decks that I've ever seen in my life. These things are scary. These things scare me. Sometimes like I'll see this deck that's like 20 feet high and I'm going like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Yeah, that's expensive,
Yeah. No, I agree. So there is definitely those older parts of El Dorado Hills that you can get into more entry-level pricing too. But I would tell people most people that ask me, I'm like, yeah, I mean, expect to pay pushing 1 million and up, to kind of get started on most of the communities we talked about. But again, as we proved, even with some of the new construction, you could definitely get in for less. And again, depends on criteria. Some people want a nice, big, spacious yard, whereas these homes that I just showed you by Tri Pointe, I mean, those are going to be very minimal, small backyards, a little bit tighter. So you got to get used to that living and you got to be comfortable with that living space. Some people might not be. Right? Some people want a little bit more room to spread, which I totally understand. So keep that in mind, but there are options. So just wanted to give you guys kind of like a real quick overview of, I guess I shouldn't say quick, but an overview of El Dorado Hills. We've done already a ton of other videos on El Dorado Hills. So if you guys want more information on El Dorado Hills, make sure to check out either my channel or Mark's channel. You could probably even type in El Dorado Hills and one of our videos will come up just because we do content all the time on this area. We're always working in this area. And if there's any way that we can help you out, feel free to reach out to Mark and his team. I'll probably link his channel right down below, or you can just type in Sacramento Real Estate #2 and it should come up right there. But Mark, it was super good having you on. Any last thoughts before we close the show today?
I would say number one is like resale inventory is super low, but it still is a feasible market. I would say interest rates might be a little scary at point, but at the same time, I think people who, jump in and then refi later are going to be the big winners. I don't think inventory is coming back anytime soon in the market in general. I think El Dorado Hills is a fun area. I think it's gorgeous. I think it's one of those spots that when people move into the area, it really speaks for itself. And I think that if you haven't done a tour, if maybe Folsom's your jam and you don't know too much about El Dorado Hills, I'd say reach out to Sam. He gives fantastic tours of El Dorado Hills and Folsom, and you can compare them yourself. And that's it. I mean, Sacramento's awesome. El Dorado Hills is just one of those spots that really, really just shines for our area.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope you found this information super valuable. Again, give it a like if you've enjoyed it, or share this with someone who's maybe thinking about moving into El Dorado Hills or Sacramento. Also, we released a video on Rockland just recently, so make sure to check that out. And we'll be releasing another video this week on Granite Bay, so keep an eye out for that one. Sayonara. Have a good week. It's an amazing week. Mark, thanks for coming on the channel. We'll see you guys next Tuesday at 5:30 p.m.